Ubisoft has been trying so hard to convince us, and most importantly, their investors, that everything is going fine at their company when really it isn't. The Ubisoft stock had crashed 18% after an earnings miss, and the Tencent deal is not one that's loved by investors. Of course, we're finding out that they're delaying tons of their major games to increase quality, which means that they were going to be Ubislop when they finally came out. Their net bookings declined over 20%, and now we're finding out that they are going to be reducing costs of $110 million over the next 2 years. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I am not sitting here saying that Ubisoft is going to go under in the next, 3 years. They are a behemoth company, and I don't see that happening, but I do see them holding back on the amount of products that they release and hopefully increasing quality so they don't come out and get basically nobody playing them, like Star Wars Outlaws. They put the most amount of money that they ever had towards marketing that game, and we know that it underperformed. Massive IP, should have made them at least $500 million. If not, a billion. Should have sold millions and millions of copies, and that didn't happen. We had their big quadruple A game, Skull and Bones, launched to basically no players. It just didn't stick the landing with people. X Defiant is being shutting down, and Assassin's Creed Shadows is a tricky situation to navigate because they have said basically they've engaged 3 million players, and I am sure that half of that is from the Ubisoft subscription service. There are plenty of people playing it that way day one, and they don't want to admit that, oh, well, technically we've only sold, 1.5 million copies, so they're giving us the 3 million number to make it look more important than it really is. I had always estimated that it would sell 3 to 4 million copies when really, from estimates, they needed to sell 6 million plus. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. They have really been holding these numbers away from the public eye. It doesn't even look like they're really giving them to investors. And every other piece of information we've gotten surrounding Ubisoft recently is that they are in financial hell. I don't believe that Assassin's Creed Shadows actually sold as well as they want us to believe. That's just my opinion. Of course, take it with a grain of salt. You might have a different one, but I have not seen anything that points to this being a smashing success. The Steam numbers aren't good. They're giving us player numbers instead of units sold. We're hearing that they are restructuring their company. Their stock is falling. They're canceling and delaying major games to increase quality. None of that looks good. Now we're finding out, though, that Ubisoft will reduce costs of $110 million in the next 2 years. So it says Ubisoft had just released its full year 2024 to 25 earnings figures, and a new cost reduction program has been spotted in the report. Yeah, it's probably because they put like $1 billion into developing just those 4 or 5 games that I had listed. Yeah, Skull and Bones, X Defiant, Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed Shadows, so 4 games. And never mind the ones that they were planning, but that's like $1 billion in development cost right there from the figures that we have heard for all of these titles. That is a hell of a lot of money to not even make close to it seems, with the 4 combined. It says, though, the company has already achieved its initial plan and is slightly above the around 224 million USD target. However, they added an additional fixed cost reduction target of over 110 million USD, which has to be achieved in the next 2 years. Ubisoft has shut down several studios and laid off staff over time to achieve cost efficiency, and with the latest cost reduction program, it seems that more shutdowns and layoffs could occur. Yeah, wouldn't be shocking. They're not making the money they need, so they have to cut loose the weaker links. This is what happens when you are a major company like this and you overhire when you don't need to. You don't need to have thousands and thousands of employees. I mean, look at what happened with Shadows. It has over 2 hours worth of credits. There were over 3,000 people who touched that game, from their main studios to other studios they brought in for consultation and playtesting and with help. Like, we're talking a lot of money there. Regardless, though, it says moreover, the earnings state that Assassin's Creed Shadows prompted strong praise from players and delivered a performance clearly ahead of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I just can't believe them when they say that. It didn't receive strong praise from players. It got absolutely wrecked online. And with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, this game literally has more players on Steam than Shadows does. I just can't sit here and be like, yeah, I'm definitely going to blindly believe Ubisoft when I'm seeing something completely different. And in other news, Ubisoft has delayed its significant IPs to improve game quality. If you are a studio of this size and a company of this caliber, and you are delaying your major IPs because, oh, you want to allow for better quality games, it seems to me that they realized over the past year and a half that they couldn't get away with selling us beta games. These titles feel like you're playtesting them. They've got bugs, they've got glitches, they've got major issues with level design or character design and even clothing with things like clipping. Like, we're talking a slew of problems from minor visual bugs to major gameplay bugs. And they can't get away with that anymore, so that's why they have to delay their games. It's not because they actually want to give players a better experience, it's because they've gotten absolutely wrecked by us. It says, though, following the success of Shadows, Ubisoft has said that it is delaying some of its major unannounced titles to allow for better quality games. In the company's latest earning report, Ubisoft boss Yves Guillemot confirmed that it will be delaying an unspecified number of games from its biggest brands, including Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six The Division, and Ghost Recon. I know that there are a lot of people also speculating that they could completely change the narrative direction of some of these games. They see the political climate is shifting, they can see that player interest is shifting away from their games because they're so heavy-handed politically. Maybe that's the case. The problem is that companies like Ubisoft feel like they can do no wrong. So it takes a lot to get them to listen and to change. And hey, I would love for Ubisoft to go back to the old days of making really high quality content and making games that captured my interest and love, but I just don't have any faith in them anymore, and I don't think that anybody really should either. We also had seen their stock crashing after the earnings miss and Tencent deal fallout. Ubisoft stock fell sharply on Thursday, dropping more than 18% because of disappointed investors and triggered renewed concerns about the company's financial direction. Now, they were already facing a lawsuit by investors because they were so upset with the Tencent deal, and now we're also seeing their stock crash, and it has not recovered yet. This was the initial Thursday number, 11.68, and now it's dropped to 9.63. It went up to 9.82, but it's back down to 9.72. So we're not talking. We're not talking about a recovery yet. We're not talking about Ubisoft doing great yet. I mean, of course, stocks fluctuate. Maybe they can turn things around. But so far, the initial reaction to this news from literally everybody is pretty rough. So I'll be keeping my eye on what they say over the next couple of weeks and months. We know that the Star Wars Outlaws big story DLC Pirate's Fortune just launched. It didn't even draw in 1,500 players on Steam. That was a complete failure. We don't know console numbers or anything, but I would deduce that because the base game underperformed, that this DLC is not going to do as well either. They've got basically no games that they're updating at this point except for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it's looking rough for them in every direction. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.